Welcome back inside the CBC Sports Digital Studio. I'm Brittany MacLean Campbell, and today I have the opportunity to speak to a two-time Olympic sailor who also happens to be a Pan Am Games champion, Sarah Douglas. It is so good to see you. Thanks for being here. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Brittany. It's great to be back here with you in CBC.
We always say we're proud Toronto girls, so anytime I get the chance to connect with you again, it's so fun. But I'm going to start with throwing the floor to you. You have a little bit of a life update, so why don't you take the floor? What's going on?
Yeah, it's a big life change for me. I'm stepping away from Olympic sailing. I've been on the national team for 10 years, and it's time for me to kind of close that chapter in my life and move on and see what's next.
And as an athlete that did go through that transition myself, I was curious about what was the deciding factor? What made you feel like this is the time, I know I'm ready to take that next step?
I mean, it was a long process, as you can imagine, like coming off of Paris and even the Tokyo quad, it was really long. Tokyo being 5 years in the end preparation, Paris only being 3. I needed a moment, just a break to take a breath. After Paris. I went through a hip surgery, so recovering from that became my ultimate priority. And in the end, I just started to sit down and think, what do I want to do with my life? Do I want to continue on to LA? And there's a lot of different factors into that, But I think in the end, what really it came down to is I just didn't have the burning fire and desire to chase excellence and chase an Olympic medal. In the end, it was just I didn't quite have that burning fire in my belly that you need when you're chasing an Olympic dream.
And I think that's actually such a healthy, awareness, to have that understanding, because Olympians, you cannot do anything at 99%, right? This takes 110% of your focus, your effort, your everything to be at the level you're at. And I think once you do realize you're not able to give that 110%, it's a beautiful thing. I think for me, the best thing and the only advice I'll give you, because you're going to take your own journey, but walking away from the sport while you still love it and can have this joy. And I know you're really connected, and we'll get there about what's next for you, but I do think there's a really beautiful understanding of not waiting till you get into resentment, I guess is the best way to describe it. And it sounds like you're able to stand here today and say, I'm proud, but I'm ready to move on.
Exactly. And, for so many athletes, they don't always get that choice.
No.
They're forced because of injury or trials or whatever it might be. So it was a hard decision because it was a decision that I had to make, but it's one that I'm really happy with. And when I reflect, I have so much gratitude for what sailing and Olympic sailing has brought me, and the memories. And it's been a huge part of my life.
Yeah.
A lot of gratitude towards the sport of sailing and what I've been able to do.
And you mentioned LA, and I think as athletes, we do think of our lives in quads. Truly, you think 4 years down the road, when you were a little one chasing your first maybe Olympic dream, was LA at all tempting to be okay, one more Olympics, what's one more Olympics? Or were you I did my 2, I've achieved what I ever, more than I ever dreamed of, and I'm okay with that?
It was tempting. I mean, LA is going to be an amazing
I know.
Olympics.
That's why I had to ask.
It's so close to home. I think they'll do an amazing job. And the sailing, the venue is epic. So for sure, it was a really tough decision there. But if Olympics were tomorrow, I'd be okay, I would do it.
Yeah, of course.
But it's the training and the endeavor and finding the funding. And there's so many aspects outside of just going sailing that I just didn't have the deep drive to chase anymore. So that was ultimately, it was the 3 years or 2 years till then, I didn't have the heart to chase after that.
I think that's such a good reminder to athletes at home that are still trying to figure out their path. I think it's really refreshing to hear people in the position you're in. So thank you for talking with me about this. I want to ask, when you look back now on your career, is there a moment that you feel defines you, Sarah Douglas, as a sailor?
I mean, that's tough. It's been 10 years.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's necessarily a moment, but I think I've shown a lot of resilience in the last 10 years, from overcoming various injuries or sicknesses to achieve, Pan Am gold medal, or just the resilience you need in chasing and going to 2 Olympic Games is a serious endeavor. And so that's probably where when I think about my career and how much over the 10 years, just the dedication and the resilience required there.
And knowing you mentioned 10 years, like that's a long time to be at this level in a sport. What have you seen in terms of changes within the sport of sailing?
I mean, we're still currently going through changes. Sailing being out on the water, not necessarily the most spectator-friendly sport. We're going through changes right now. We've definitely adapted the way that we run races, how we try to showcase our sport, and it's still currently happening, and it's going to change for LA as well. But there's definitely been a turn towards more like faster, higher energy, faster paced racing. And me being from the slower boat, it's been a bit of a change in some aspects of racing. But I would say the big thing for me is just the focus more on equality in the sport of sailing and more opportunities coming for female sailors.
It's an amazing point. And with that, we talk about changes in the sport. I'd also love to know from your perspective, like how did you change? Like how has Sarah Douglas changed from, maybe your first international experience to the athlete you were in Paris?
I mean, I've changed a crazy amount over 10 years, right? So, I mean, definitely at the beginning, I was still in school. I was balancing the workloads and sailing to then switching to basically a full-time business, running my own team, bringing in experts and individuals from sports psychology to nutrition to physiotherapy. Like there's a whole team around me and marketing myself to, essentially being the CEO of Sarah Douglas Sailing. And that was kind of the last couple of years especially, and just having a lot more ownership in my program. And that's probably the biggest change in the organization around it. Like there's so many life skills that I've gained from the sport of sailing in the last 10 years, but it definitely changed a lot.
And what do you imagine you're going to miss the most?
It's a good question. I think I'm going to miss just the special moments that you share with your teammates. Just whether it's you're at the dining hall at the Pan Am Games and you're just playing cards or whatever it is. I think the friends that I've made have been really special, and of course I'll still stay in contact. But when I think back about the people involved, I'm really going to miss them.
And speaking to that, I know you have a few thank yous you wanted to make. Like looking back at everything you achieved, you were not able to do any of that alone. So who would you like to speak to in a moment like this?
I mean, I have endless people. I mean, to start, my family, of course, they've been on this journey from the very beginning. From when I said I wanted to go to Olympic Games, they've supported me nonstop. My parents have been amazing. They travel with me to certain or major competitions. I've had amazing support at various yacht clubs, my home yacht club, Astro's Bay Yacht Club, to Royal Canadian Yacht Club and New York Yacht Club. I've all received funding from them, funding from the Canadian Olympic Foundation. I mean, I have endless private donors, sponsors, people that have come on this journey for the last 2 Olympic Games and supported me in the good and the bad. And I'm so grateful for the support. And, athletes really need that support when chasing the Olympic dream. And I've always said, I'm in the boat by myself, but I have an entire team there carrying me through the 2 games.
It is special. And team, we were just joking earlier, but we're 2 people that got to go to the Olympics with our siblings or been in this Olympic realm with our siblings. So your brother Greg, also an Olympian. How were you guys able to grow up and support each other toward the amazing things that you've now achieved?
Yeah, my brother's always been an inspiration for me. He's the reason why we actually got into the sport of sailing. So I think as a younger sibling, I was always trying to beat him in everything that I did. Naturally, yeah, very competitive. But he's always been someone I've been able to rely on for advice. He was in Paris as well, there on the sidelines cheering me on, and I've always gone to him with anything just that I needed help with, and he's always been there. So it's been great to kind of share the Olympic experience and traveling together, World Cups and stuff. We have a bit of a gap, but it's still been great to kind of see him as inspiration and have him along in my journey as well.
I feel like it's probably healthy that you have a bit of a gap, because if you were literally the same age doing the exact same thing on the same, it would cause
we had a short overlap at a Miami World Cup.
And that was enough.
My parents having to go back and forth between the 2 of us was just challenging enough. And so it's been good that I got to support him in his Olympic journey and then vice versa.
Yeah. And there's probably a lot to be said for being able to watch him along that route and understand what it took and how to get there. Has he given you any advice for retirement? Obviously, he's navigated that stage already.
Yeah, he's been great. He had a lot of success, I guess, in his retirement, and there's a lot of resources available for Canadian athletes as well. So he's definitely steered me in that direction. He helped me with my resume and everything. He's definitely a person that I've reached out to and talked to a lot about what comes next and supporting me in that way.
Well, funny you say that, because honestly, I know your brother because of all the like within Toronto networking events. I'm like, we did all the game plan things, everything out there. So also a lesson for Canadian athletes that there are so many resources. Sign up for game plan, sign up for within your local community too. Like there are things at your fingertips. You just have to be open to try them. So I'm so glad to hear you've done some of those as well. I wanted to ask about what's next, because that's always going to be the question. You close one door, another one opens. What's next for Sarah Douglas?
I mean, the great thing about sailing for me is that you can do it in so many different aspects. So yes, I'm closing the door on Olympic sailing, but I'm really excited about the sailing that I'm going to be doing next. So next year we have a kind of a historic moment for female sailors, in that there's an event happening at New York Yacht Club in a boat called an IC-37 class. And it's going to be 10 female sailors coming together from around the world. Well, it's 20 teams, I guess. Okay. So it's 20 teams from around the world coming together, competing in this super fun, dynamic boat. And I'm being fortunate enough to get an invite to do that. So I'll be putting together a Canadian team and bringing a lot of experience from my Olympic campaigns towards that. So building like the fundraising, the marketing, the team, and we'll be competing next September. So I'm really excited to kind of switch my focus towards that and the sailing side. Then I'm looking into a career change. So I would love to go into sport marketing, and I'm currently exploring the various opportunities there.
It's so cool too when you talk about like the fact that your sport can transition into something like you're still actively going to be involved, but from another perspective, and maybe a little less pressure, but a lot of like, it almost is allowing you to guide yourself into a more leadership position to then put on a resume for your next opportunity, which is amazing. Tell me more about this. Like, I was reading more about the boat itself. Like I read that there's 10 people. Are you all sailing together at one? Okay.
So it's a 37-foot boat.
Okay.
It's 10 sailors on the boat, and it's a super fun, dynamic racing boat. Wow. I've done a bit of it myself, and my husband's also raced it.
Okay.
And this is the first time they're going to have an all-female team. Wow. And a whole regatta of them. So there's going to be like 200 women competing, which we've never had in the sport of sailing. It's always been like, oh, we'll have a couple female sailors here, you know, like SailGP, there's like one or two. America's Cup, you know, it's like small teams. But this is like...
They have to like hit their quota. Right?
Yeah, but this is a huge opportunity to have 10 women competing, 200 total, at New York Yacht Club, which is one of the most iconic venues for sailing, and they've hosted America's Cup, and there's a lot of history there as well. And so I'm just so excited to have Canada on the starting line and be part of the experience.
That's so cool. I'm excited now. Are you like actively recruiting already, or do you like watch over? Okay, so sailors out there, Canadian sailors out there, you'll be in touch in terms of interest.
Yeah, I currently have one spot open. Wow. So most of the team's committed, and we're now looking at our next steps and what the training's going to look like. But yeah, I've got one spot open.
That's so cool. I love this. Okay. I also love just watching sports evolve. Like we talked about change, and not only have you changed as an individual, but you probably couldn't have imagined that a concept like this existed 10 years ago when you were training.
And the weird thing, not to get too much in the weeds about, I guess, sailing as a whole, but we have a lot of restrictions in sailing of like amateur versus professional. Yeah. And you know, when you go to Olympic Games, you're automatically labeled professional, even though you might not take a professional sailing gig. Right. So for myself, like there's been a lot of racing that I want to do on a weekend, say, that I'm not allowed to because I've been to an Olympic Games. Oh, wow. So this regatta is a real opportunity for a mix of professional and amateur sailors, and my team especially is going to have a combination of like up-and-coming sailors to Olympians, America's Cup sailors from Canada, and combining it all together and creating a real pathway for this type of like keelboat sailing, which is amazing.
That's so cool. Mm-hmm. You quickly mentioned your husband. I can't let you go without dishing. You just got married. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Tell us a little bit about the wedding. And it was a sailor's dream, it looked like. You met sailing. Tell me a little bit more about that day.
Yeah, I mean, after Paris, I immediately went into wedding planning. Yeah. And yeah, my husband being a sailor, we even had a regatta. We joked it was probably one of the most competitive regattas in Canada that year because I think we had 3 or 4 Olympic medalists. We had amazing sailors. I think there was 22 of us racing. We had to pick and choose from our wedding invite list of who would be like the top of the top sailors racing here in Toronto Harbor. And so just starting off with the regatta, just, we had to as sailors, and then going into bringing all of our friends and family to town and sharing the places that we love the most and being out in the water. It was a dream.
That's so special. Well, the pictures are beautiful. I'm still I'm in awe.
Me too.
Good, you should be. I hope you had the best time. I want to leave with an opportunity for you to just kind of have a message maybe to a young female athlete out there. They could be a sailor, they could not be, but what would you say to a young aspiring athlete that wants to chase big dreams?
I mean, state your dreams out loud and chase them. I mean, I've always been a person that has stated my dreams and just kind of gone after them. Even if they don't necessarily work out, I think putting it out there, manifesting it, and not being afraid to go after them has been a big thing for me. So that would be my biggest advice, is just speak it into existence, say it out loud, write it down wherever it might be, and go after it.
Well, as you take on this next chapter in your life, I give that advice right back to you, to chase big dreams, to do all the things that you set your mind out to, and the world is your oyster. It's been so fun cheering you on the water, and as Canada's most, you were the highest placing we've ever had for a female at the Olympic Games. You have so much to be proud of. I hope you're standing here today with immense joy and gratitude and pride. Canada's proud of you. Congratulations on this big decision, and thanks for chatting with us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.